I've got my nails done today.
Hi guys, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this no-sew cute whale. It's a really good project for beginners as it's super quick and easy to make. This pattern was created by the brilliant Little Sheep's Crochet, so be sure to check her out on Instagram where you can find the written free pattern. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel to not miss out on the weekly free crochet tutorials. So let's get started. In today's video you're going to need some scissors, a 4mm crochet hook, some toy stuffing, 12mm safety eyes, stitch markers, and then 2 different types of chenille chunky yarn. So I used James C. Brett Fluttery yarn, B3 and B1, so the blue and white, but feel free to use whatever colour you want your whale to be. So for the whale we're going to start with the body, and the body is going to start with 6 single crochets in a magic ring. So how I do my magic ring, again, feel free to check out other magic ring tutorials, but this is just how I like to do it. I wrap my yarn 3 times around my 2 fingers, and I'm going to go under the first 2 loops, and I'm going to pull up the last loop and pull through these front 2. And then I'm going to yarn over and grab that yarn again and pull through. So this is just a starting chain, so it doesn't actually count towards our 6 single crochets. So to do our 6 single crochets, we do the same. We go under the first 2, we pull up and we pull through, and we single crochet as normal. So we're going to pull up again and go through the 2 stitches on our hook. So that counts as 1 single crochet. And we're going to do that 5 more times, like so. And I just like this technique because it keeps it stable on the fingers, and I just find it less fiddly, but like I say, it's all down to personal preference, and there are loads of different techniques out there, so just explore which suits you best. So 1 more. We're then going to pull the loop closest to us, and that's going to pull this tail out. And then we're going to pull to close the circle. So there we have our 6 single crochets in a magic ring. We're going to grab a stitch marker and place it in the loop closest to the hook, so that we now know in round 2 we're going to work all the way around until we get back to the stitch marker. So round 2 we're going to do 6 increases. So increases is doing 2 single crochets into each stitch. So I've gone into my first stitch and I'm going to do a single crochet, and I'm going to go back into the same stitch and do another one, and that is our increase. So we're going to do 2 single crochets into each stitch around this magic ring, and that's going to give us 6 increases and take our total up to 12. So we're going to remove our stitch marker and do an increase in the last stitch, and that is round 2 finished. So we should have 12 stitches in total after round 2. Again, we're going to replace our stitch marker in the loop closest to the hook, and for round 3 we're going to do a single crochet and an increase. We're going to do that 6 times, again until we get all the way back round to stitch marker. So in the first stitch we're going to do 1 single crochet, in the second we're going to do an increase, and an increase. So 1 single crochet and then an increase in the next stitch, and this is going to increase our total up to 18. For round 3, we're going to do 2 single crochets and an increase. So like we did before, we're just going to keep repeating that over and over until we get all the way back to the stitch marker. So 2 single crochets and then an increase. And we should be ending each round with an increase and then replacing our stitch marker each time. For round 5, we're going to do 3 single crochets and an increase, and that's going to take our total up to 30. Round 6, I'm going to do 4 single crochets and an increase, and that's going to take our total up to 36. Round 7, we're going to do 5 single crochets and an increase, and that's going to take our total up to 42. Round 8, we're going to do 6 single crochets and an increase to take our total up to 48. For the next 8 rounds, rounds 9 to 16, we're just going to carry on doing 48 single crochets. So a single crochet into each stitch. So I'll meet you back at the end of round 16. So now we're at the end of round 16. We should have this little dome shape like so. For the next round, we're going to be creating the tails and fin. So in this first stitch, we're going to be doing the tail, and we're going to slip stitch in the front loop. So where we've been going through both loops, we're just literally going to go into this front loop only and slip stitch. We're then going to chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Once we chain 6, we're then going to do 3 triple crochets in the 4th chain from the hook. So the 4th chain from the hook is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to do it here. And a triple crochet is like a double crochet where we yarn over, but we're going to do it one more time. So we've yarned over 2 times, so we basically almost have 3 loops on our hook. And we're going to go into this 4th stitch like so. We're going to yarn over and pull through the first one. So we've got 4 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through the first 2. We've now got 3 loops, yarn over the next 2. So we've got 2 left, and yarn over and pull through the last 2. So we're going to do that 2 more times. So yarn over twice, into the same stitch, the 4th one from the hook, and yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. One more time. We're going to go yarn over twice, into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. So there we have our first little fin for the tail. Once we've done that, we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. So we're going to yarn over and double crochet in the next stitch, like so. And then we're going to half double crochet in the last stitch. So we're going to yarn over, go into the last stitch like so, and then we're going to pull up 1, but rather than going through the next 2, we're just going to pull through all of them. So that's a half double crochet. So that's our first fin, and then we're going to repeat that all over again. We're going to slip stitch into the beginning and then repeat it all. So we're going to chain 6 and we're going to do a triple crochet in the 4th chain. 1, 2, 3, 4. So into this one, yarn over twice, go into that 4th chain, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through the last 2. We're going to do that 2 more times into the same stitch. So yarn over twice, into the same hole, yarn over, going through 2 each time. One last time, same stitch, and keep going through 2 each time. Once we've done our 3 triples, we're going to do a double crochet in the next. So that's just yarning over once, going into the next stitch, pull up, then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to end on a half double crochet. So like the double crochet, we're just going to yarn over once, into the last stitch, yarn over, and then rather than pulling through 2, we're just going to pull through all 3. And we're going to slip stitch to finish off. Okay, so there we have our cute little tail. We're going to carry on around until we get to the sides. Okay, so I'm going to line up where I want my fins. So I want them roughly to the side. So I'm going to place 1 stitch marker here and 1 stitch marker symmetrical, so over here. This is pretty rough, but just keep moving them around if you don't like their position. But I'm quite happy with that. And then we can count the stitches just to make sure that they're the same from each side. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And they'll both be the same as each side. So once we place our stitch markers in for where we want our fins, we're then just gonna single crochet until we reach these stitch markers. And then once we get to these stitch markers, we can then work our fins in. Okay, so I've now reached the stitch marker for my first fin, so I can get rid of this stitch marker. And for this fin, we're going to slip stitch into this front loop again. We're then going to chain 4. And we're going to do 1 single crochet from the second chain from the hook. So this counts as the first chain. So we're going to go into this one here. So 1 single crochet. And then we're going to do 1 triple crochet in the next stitch. So again, we're going to yarn over twice. And we're going to go into that next stitch like so. Again, we're going to pull up and then keep pulling through 2. And then we're going to do another triple crochet in the last stitch. Then we're going to slip stitch again in that first loop. Then we're going to single crochet 21 until we get all the way to our next stitch marker. Once we reach our stitch marker, we're then going to do a slip stitch in the front loop only. Again, we're going to chain 4. We're going to do a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So this one's number 1. So we're going to go into this one, single crochet. Then we're going to do 2 triple crochets in the next stitches. So yarn over twice, into the next stitch, and triple crochet, and again in the last stitch a triple crochet, and then we're going to slip stitch to finish off, and then we're going to single crochet until we get back to the tail. So now we've got our fins and tail complete. We're going to join some safety eyes on. So I'm using 12mm safety eyes, and we're going to place them between rounds 15 and 16, 5 stitches from the fin. And 11 stitches apart. Once you're happy with the placement, we can go ahead and put the safety backs on. And once we've placed the safety eyes on, we can finish off our last round by going into the slip stitch. And before finishing off, we're going to change to white yarn. So grab the white yarn, and keeping 2 hooks on a hook, we're going to grab our white yarn and pull through both loops. Then in the next round, we're going to carry on using the white yarn. So we can get rid of our blue yarn. And we're now on round 18, where we're going to do 6 single crochets and a decrease the whole way round, but we're going to work in the back loops only. So for example, rather than going into these 2 loops like normal, we're just going to go into this back loop, and we're going to do 6 single crochets. And what we can do is we can work these tails in between to secure them, like so. And that just prevents us having to sew them in later, saves us a job. So we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then a decrease. So the decrease, we're going to go into the next stitch, again back loops only, and we're going to pull up. Then we have 2 loops on our hook, we're going to go into the next stitch again, back loops only, pull through. So we now have 3 loops on our hook, and we're going to pull through all 3. Then we're going to carry on 6 single crochets in the back loops. And another decrease, so we go into the back loops, pull up, and rather than single crocheting, we go into the next stitch, we pull up, and then pull all 3. And then we're going to carry on until we get all the way back to where the white starts. So once we get round to the beginning, we're going to place our stitch marker in, and then round 19 we're going to do 5 single crochets and an invisible decrease, again all the way around. So we're going to work into both loops this time and just do a normal single crochet 5 times, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease, so kind of like what we did before, but we're going to work in the front loops of the stitch. We're going to pull through the front loop, then we've got 2 loops on our stitch, on our hook. We're going to go into the next front loop, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and that's our invisible decrease. So we're going to do 5 again, 5 single crochets, and then an invisible decrease, so into the front loops of the next stitch, pull through, into the next front loop, pull through, and then pull through all 3 loops. And we're going to carry that on until we get back round to our stitch marker. Round 20 we're going to do 4 single crochets and a decrease, and this will take our total down to 30. Again, we're going to do the invisible decrease where we're just working in the front loops of the stitches. Round 21, we're going to do 3 single crochets and a decrease, and that's going to give us 24 stitches in total. So we're now going to stuff the body. Round 22, we're going to do 2 single crochets and a decrease. That's going to take our total down to 18. Round 23, we're going to do a single crochet and decrease. That's going to take our total to 12. Before we do the final row, we're just going to stuff one last time. So for the final round we're just going to do 6 decreases to close the hole. And then we're going to cut our yarn and leave a tail for sewing up the hole. Grab a yarn needle and then we're going to work through the front loops of each of these 6 stitches. And then you're going to pull it shut like so, and then we do a few stitches just to make extra sure it's closed. And then we can yarn off and tuck our yarn into the body. As a little finishing touch, we're just going to grab some pink yarn and then add some little blush detail just below the eyes, like so. So here we have our finished whale plushie. Be sure to credit Little Sheep's Crochets for her pattern and tag us both in any post that you make of your whale creations. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Please comment below how you guys got on. Check out my Instagram and remember to like and subscribe to not miss out on my weekly tutorials.